Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today for DIY Gifts to Save Your Budget. This is Project 1, Notebooks with Embroidered Covers. Today we will be learning how to make an embroidered notebook. What you'll need is a craft notebook, and the way you find these is by spelling it out as K-R-A-F-T, craft notebooks. They come in large packs and are relatively inexpensive. They have a nice thin cardboard cover, which is key to us being able to embroider the front of it. See here, I made a Pac-Man themed one. And for this, I created my own template by finding a picture of Pac-Man, or this one I actually created, and sizing it just about right and using that as a template. However, for our example, I think I'm going to switch it up a little bit. And after doing some experimentation, I think I'm going to do ATL for Atlanta, since we're in the Atlanta area. I love giving long-distance gifts in kind of a Georgia or Atlanta theme, so I'm going to use these letters as my template for my next notebook. Other supplies you'll need, any sort of embroidery needles. Sewing needles might be a little bit too small, so the key here is that you want the eye of the needle to be relatively open, because what you're going to be using is a full 6 strands of regular embroidery thread. This is super inexpensive. It's usually under $50 for a regular bundle of embroidery thread, and they're available in all different colors at craft stores. And then I always use a needle threader, just because this is a lot of thread. It's hard to get it into the eye of the needle without a threader, but I'll show you how to do that too. And then you also need something to create the holes. I use my seam ripper. I have broken one before, so if you have maybe like an awl or maybe even just a pretty durable pen, you could create the marks with that. You don't want the holes to be too big, but you do want them to be able to get a needle through it, no problem. You will need some sharp scissors. I have some thread scissors here, just to make sure that you can clean up the work without fraying the thread even more. So with that, I believe we have all of our supplies aside from a piece of cardboard, or I'm using a notebook to protect your surface of your table, because you will be poking holes into your project and you don't want to poke some holes into your table. Okay, I think we're ready to start. So get your surface ready. Make sure that you won't accidentally damage your table. And then you're going to take your notebook and you're going to lay it down flat so you've got the front right there. Whatever you decided to do, go ahead and cut it out. Now I'm doing a different example in this second notebook because I wanted you guys to see how versatile this can be. You can make shapes, you can make flowers, you can put someone's name on this. My one recommendation is that you keep it simple. You don't need any fancy stitches, especially if you are a big fan of embroidery and know some fancy stitches. I am also a fan, and this is best to keep it simple. Just some straight stitches and not too many holes. So for this one, I had put it down in the bottom right hand corner because I thought that would look nice for the art. But I think I'm going to go ahead and center ATL. And then you can try to tape this, but be very careful because this is kind of delicate. I'd be careful with tape. I usually just hold it in place. Usually the designs are pretty simple, so it's not too difficult. And then you're going to want to look at any of the corners, or if you've got some circles, do some holes that are kind of going to give it the shape. But this is going to be wherever you put your thread through, so you're going to need a hole through it. So I'm just going to do it on all the corners where the lines start. Letters are a great way to get started. They're super simple. Keep it all capitalized so you've got straight lines. Now, since I wrote this out, it's not going to be perfectly straight or anything like that. That's the fun of it being homemade. Oops, I forgot one. So if you forget one, you can usually see in the pattern, I forgot this dot right here. So there's the A, there's the L. The T is just missing the middle right there. So I'm just gonna create a hole right there. It's pretty easy to connect, or I'm sorry, to correct. So always keep it simple. Next, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go ahead and thread your embroidery needle. You usually don't need too much thread, but I always give myself plenty just in case. Probably will need your sharp scissors for this. I recommend that you triple knot your thread at the end. Really, the only thing that's going to be holding your thread in place is this triple knot. So you're going to want this to be very sturdy and unable to come through the holes that you've created in the cardboard. It does start to get bulky after a triple knot, so you might want to stop there. Then trim this closely to the knot, because I found that if I don't trim this before, these ends will come out sort of frayed in my stitching. Then I'm going to choose my largest embroidery needle, since this is all 6 threads of the embroidery thread. And how you use this threader is, you see this here? You're going to put this through the eye of the needle. It's a little bit easier than getting the thread through it. So you want it to kind of be stuck on there. Then this opening is a lot easier to get the thread through. That's how threaders work. And then you just kind of slide it off, and you've got a threaded needle. Now we're going to go ahead and start. I'm going to go ahead and start on the side closest in. So you see these holes here? If they're not all the way through, don't worry about it too much. You've weakened it enough that you'll be able to stick it through. So I'm going to start down at the bottom of the A. See that hole there? You're just going to go ahead and put your needle through it and brace it so it stays flat. You don't want any bending or creasing. That'll be very noticeable in these cardboard craft notebooks. So there's the first one. Remember to brace it as you poke it through the hole. Now I've got 2 holes underneath here. What you can do is kind of move the thread to the side so you don't come up through your thread. And then just enter the hole from the back. So you see how that kind of kept it from getting all tangled up. And then you can move that to the side and go back down. There's my first letter. So I'll keep going and then I'll show you how to finish it off. Okay, so I have stitched through all of my marked holes. I like how the letters look. They're not too perfect, but they're also very clear. Now, what I'll do to finish it off is I'll go ahead and de-thread it and do a triple knot right here. So start the knot. And the best way to get this really close to the notebook, so the string doesn't move around too much, is to place the needle tip right here and then tighten it around the needle tip. Then when you remove the needle, it'll be nice and close to the notebook. See how close that is? That's perfect. It's not too tight. It doesn't buckle your cardboard, but your string also isn't going to go anywhere. This is my third knot. Okay, so there is your first embroidered notebook cover. And I've made designs with lots of shapes. I've made some with words on the front. Let's see what else I've made. I've made some music notes. This is very versatile way, and the embroidery thread is very inexpensive, and so are these craft books. They come in packs of 25 or even 50. They're relatively inexpensive, and you can pretty much think up a design as easily as possible. And then you can also, if you ever need inspiration help, I found that looking for inspiration on Pinterest, basically typing in minimalist art, it gives you a lot of those straight and simple lines and simple shading to keep it easy for you. I hope this helps for your holiday gifting. Being able to make some really nice but also touching notebook gifts. Here are some more books that will give you even more DIY ideas for gifts and around the house. Thank you for watching, and be sure to join us next week when we learn how to make DIY mouse ears wreaths.